Hello, Steve White, Trek89 for Steve Arts 89, Star Trek's Gatekeeper. Well, Chris Pine's getting a lot of attention for saying the same thing fans like me have been saying for the last 14 years, that the new Star Trek films need to focus on being Star Trek instead of trying to be Marvel and chasing that $1 billion, because they didn't get it and they're never going to get it. Because Star Trek when it's being Star Trek in its pure form is a niche film. It's not niche property. It's not going to appeal to the whole audience, the general audience. It's just not. It's too intelligent for them, and it's just too niche. And dumbing it down for the general audience and making it like basically science fantasy action adventure didn't work, because the people who don't like Star Trek still didn't come, because as far as they're concerned it's still Star Trek, and they don't like Star Trek because they've seen enough of the TV shows to know they don't want to think about anything. They just want to have pew 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 and things blow up. And yeah, they tried to model it after Star Wars. They tried to model it after Marvel superhero films. They tried to model it, the whole series, after the Dark Knight trilogy. The first film was like, the Origins film, Batman Begins. The second film was like, let's have, the biggest, most legendary villain be the enemy for that film, the villain for that film, which was Joker in the second Batman film and Khan in the second Star Trek film. The third film, no one knows what it was going to be, because Bob Orkey, who wrote it and was going to direct it, got cancelled for swearing at a bunch of fans, including myself, on trekmovie.com. And then also the producers didn't like his script because it was too Star Trek-y. So he got canned, and they ended up doing the film that they did, Beyond, and it was better than Into Darkness, because Into Darkness only sold because the first film did so well, so it was sold on word of mouth, and the third film wasn't sold at all. No one went to see it because there was no good word of mouth after Into Darkness, and the fourth film really wasn't sold at all because they didn't make it. It was supposed to be made, and they lost the funding, and it got cancelled, and it's been brought back. It's been revived a few times in different versions, but never actually got the green light and never actually got into production, and obviously hasn't been made. They are supposedly going to make it now, and they don't have a script finished. They don't have any of the cast signed as far as I know. They're all in talks. They all have goodwill. They're all happy to come back. They want to do another film. And Chris Pine has actually spoken to Shackman, the director, and the other people involved in the production. He's very happy with the people involved. He wants to come back and do it, but he hasn't seen a script yet. And that was the main point that he made, is that we need to focus on a good Star Trek story, the kind of stories the fans like, that they're going to come out for, and make it on a smaller budget, so it doesn't have to make $1 billion. And if it makes $500 million, great. That's all it has to do. Just like the old Star Trek films, they made them on smaller budgets, and they didn't have to make a lot of money. They knew that only a certain amount of people would come out for them. As long as they got those fans, as long as they made it for the fans, and they got the fans to come and see it 5 or 10 times each, like we did, that they'd make money. And they did on all those films, until they tried to make Nemesis into something different, and that didn't really work. And that was the first one that did make money, but only just. But yeah, The Voyage Home was the only one that really broke out and made, well, the motion picture, and because it was the first one and no one really knew what to expect, that actually made a lot of money. They actually made, the first JJ film only made about $11 million more than Star Trek the Motion Picture when you adjusted for inflation. The last time I looked on Box Office Mojo, when they were doing comparisons a while ago, it only made a little bit more. Voyage Home made a lot of money when it first came out because it attracted the general audience. It had the fans and it had general audience appeal, and it made, I don't know how much it made now. It was over $100 million, whereas the other films all made around $70 or $80 million back in the day. But Voyage Home made over 100. So there you go. So yeah, does Chris Pine deserves credit for saying the same thing that fans like me have been saying for the last 14 years and no one's been listening to us? I'm not sure. But maybe because he's Chris Pine, maybe they'll listen. Maybe they'll budget this film sensibly, not have to turn it into like a Marvel film or something that makes $1 billion to try and get their money back, and let it just be a good Star Trek film. Let the fans come, see it, love it, come back to see it again, 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 and with good word of mouth and a lot of coaxing, bring some of their general audience friends with them, which is what the old Star Trek films used to do. they tried to reboot it, and they thought, we're salesmen, we can just sell this to the general audience, we can change it into whatever it needs to be, don't care about the fans, we'll bring all the new people in, we'll just give them what they usually like, Star Wars, Batman, Marvel, whatever's making money, and just do it with the Star Trek brand, which we've bought, and we'll just make a lot of money out of it. We get paid a lot of money to make these films through Bad Robot, and everyone will be happy, we'll make a lot of money. Didn't happen, didn't work. You can't do that. You can't take a franchise that's established that people love, totally change it, expect them to show up and new people to be attracted to something they already think they know. Yep. That's enough. I had a rant. I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of the situation and what sort of film they should make with the next Star Trek film. I have a bit of hope that they might have learned a few lessons from losing money, but it may just make them go harder in the wrong direction. Who knows? Bye.